All right, next up is a very important topic, prepping the socials. Getting your social media presence ready for launch. First and foremost, and I have to say this, is don't buy followers, don't buy engagement. People can very clearly tell if you bought followers. And don't reuse X accounts that have deployed in the past. Hopefully, you watching this, you haven't deployed tokens in the past. Um, you are starting your very first project, which is the most bullish position to be in. And those are the kind of founders we want to back, by the way, not serial deployers. Social media guidelines. Don't buy X accounts once again for either yourself or your project. Super damaging for your credibility. And only aim for authentic engagement with your relevant communities. And you can do this by letting them know what you're up to. So follow and interact with other Believe ecosystem accounts and founders in order to do this. Once again, jump in our Telegram channel. We have the largest Telegram community of builders and founders in the ecosystem that you can start to interact with and really network and get in touch with other builders and other investors in the Believe space. Network activation. So you want to track influencers, advisors, and anyone notable, holders, potential investors in your niche ahead of time. So ahead of your launch, spin up something like TweetDM or CRM that you can log all of those types of people in one place because it is impossible to store all of that in your head. At least use a G Sheets, guys. Just learn from the mistakes of other founders who weren't chronicling their potential partners, investors, and collaborators. Put them in one place. Your future self will thank you. So clearly reach out to anyone you're already in touch with. That's super important. They will support you and your project on day one. Share your project on X when you launch. Be ready to amplify your project. Manage your DMs once again in a CRM like TweetDM or G Sheets or any other resource. TweetDM is a Believe project, and they are a great choice. They're built for X. Engage in relevant TG groups, Discord servers as well. Become a familiar face. Make sure people already know who you are by the time you launch. You do not want to be a stranger, ideally. And connect with potential art folders, advisors, community leaders directly because they have reach. They have an audience pre-built that you can use. Personal connections, once again, are gold. Ideally, you've built a personal X over the last few years. If you're starting fresh, that's okay. But if you have a pre-built community, holders, friends, advisors, that's really helpful for when you actually go ahead and launch. And seek introductions to other Believe team members as well. If you can reach out and get in touch with anyone at the Believe team level, really recommend you go ahead and do that. Join a Slack, join a Discord as well. Technical readiness. So, have your site ready. Everyone will visit your site and make sure that your app does what it's intended to do. Make sure nothing's broken. Make sure people can actually sign in and use your app. Make sure it won't break when it gets an influx of traffic. This is super important because a few projects have launched and failed in terms of allowing people to sign up, in terms of erroring out and getting 404s. You want to avoid that outcome if at all possible. So don't sleep on technical preparation. This is super important to make sure everything works. Now, project documentation. Create a Gitbook explaining what your project is about and what it's intended to do, who it's for, and what's upcoming for holders and your users. This is just an example of a Gitbook that you can use, and you can put it into a link tree. For instance, here's one link tree where you have multiple resources, including documentation and the website on one place. Very least, have a website. Now, your launch content creation is very important. Ideally, you prepare a video introduction, something casual. It doesn't need to be overly produced and polished. Take these videos, for example, that you're watching right now. Content and authenticity rules all. So here's an example of Alex Finn. He recorded a video up here. It's cropped out, but he recorded a video and then replied with further context, replied a couple more times, and then launched his coin. Here's Kevin from TweetDM and his launch post, which very clearly explains what they do. He included a 90-second video as well. And that gives people immediate context into what he does and why it's investable, why it's differentiated. Here's one thing that we did is we deployed from the Believe Capital account and not from one of our team members with thousands of followers. If you have thousands of followers or even over 1,000 followers, your project will get sniped by sniper bots, automated wallets that just invest in your project. You want to avoid that outcome. So create the project. Essentially, what you want to do is deploy from the account with fewer followers, minimizing the odds that your project gets sniped by automated bots. And then go ahead and retweet it from your team member accounts. So, homework. Draft up your launch tweets, the one tagging LaunchCoin, and create your video. And draft up your follow-up tweets as well for sustained engagement. Ideally, draft up this content for the entire next week using a content calendar tool. And most of these allow you to add team members if you have a team, if you're not a solo dev, so that you can have people approve and copy edit with you what you are about to post. Create the graphics explaining your project, your vision for the project. Prepare documentation for your team's background, their credentials, their expertise. If they're second-time, third-time founder, you want to mention that. If they worked at notable companies, you want to mention that. If you have a lot of experience in the space, you want to mention that all the same. And make sure your website's ready with a placeholder for your contract address. So the idea here is having all of this ready before you need it. And with that out of the way, I'll see you in the next module.